Hey, you! You're watching this on the YouTube. Well done. Thanks for finding the channel. You know what you should do, though? You should come watch live as well. That's also an option. That's right. I stream every other day. It's where we get this footage. And not every game makes it onto the YouTube. So be sure to check out the channel if you want to see all the games and get all the insights. We welcome the company. But let's get into it because we've got an interesting one ahead of us as we switch over. It is going to be Grubby versus Armiria. Armiria and Grubby now having both featured on this channel. Armiria, of course, had that infamous game against GUA where GUA waited until about 30 minutes in before he decided it was maybe time to get into Castle Age. I don't know if we're going to see that this time around. This is going to be Boulder Bay, though. It's going to be China versus China. And I love Boulder Bay. Anyone who's listened to my thoughts on this map and has watched enough of the series knows that this is one of the most exciting maps to me to watch. It has a nice hybrid mixture of water and land. Generation needs some work, but this one's not too bad. We've seen some disgustingly absurd generations, but this one overall seems reasonable. Gold is close by. Definitely a little bit more value over here for Grubby, actually, with them being so close together. They both spawn about the same distance away from the docks. Overall, yeah, this one's actually not too bad. I think maybe a little bit of a con in favor of Grubby. Right, look how many deep water fishes he has. Armiria has one here and one here. I think the makeup is meant to be that he has maybe a little bit more shoreline. No, he's just being conned on the waterfront. Okay, well, that's our details around the generation. Definitely is favoring Grubby. But let's see if the Chinese gods... As a China versus China matchup should be a peculiar thing. On a map where it has choke points, a natural kind of flow towards these keeps, I could see a situation with maybe, with the Sacred Site keeps and then also obviously walling around them. I wouldn't be surprised if this game does kind of slog into a stalemate. So let's see how it plays out. Maybe that... there you go, guys. That's how we forgive the current situation of all these deep water fish near Grubby. Grubby can't build a keep right next to the Sacred Site. I don't think that's a good deal for Armiria still. The scout out early. Wasn't able to snipe the villager. Did see the dock going down at least. And over a million years will eventually kill the dock off here. Dock up on the other side. Grubby slow and behind his opponent in comparison. But the difference is that actually his deep water fish site is closer, right? So over time, this will work out for Grubby still, despite him being slowed on to get the dock up. Back in base. What is the split? So Armiria, 7 on food, 6 on wood, and then more on wood for Grubby. Grubby kind of getting the idea here. Able to keep those food values up. Very tight kind of efficient value, right? The difference here is Armiria, because he put more people in food, should be able to go to an Imperial Official soon if he wants to, which will allow him to boost his wood income and thus support possibly a second dock quicker. Problem he has right now is his first dock might not be long for this world. Grubby, this is quite the commitment. He has 2 scouts and he's just stuck them both here. Not something we see frequently, but honestly, at this rate, I think they actually could kill the dock before a tech up is achieved. And that's a big deal, right? Because it's the only dock you've got. If you send a villager out now, you sacrifice that villager. So right now, Armiria and Grubby are matched on the eco front. But the moment he reacts to this one way or another, it's going to cost him a unit, and he's going to be behind there. So 4 so far, still 1 behind. And the scout is on its way across. So double scout, Armiria, bringing them back to fight now. Needs to be a little bit careful, though. It's just very wonky to try and stop him. If anything, you need to deny him. You need to like delay him, right, for like a minute or 2, so you can actually get tech up. Because if you get tech up, 1 ship will keep them all at bay, right? 1 junk ship's good enough. That might be a tall ask, and that's why he goes for the 3 scouts. He needed a 3rd one. I'm glad he done this. Otherwise, your opponent's just going to screw with you, possibly snipe you out as well, and still be standing there on 1 HP. So this should disperse the action, but now Grubby should be somewhat happy because this gives him a 1 eco advantage, right? Because his opponent had to go for a 3rd scout. Just returned gathering. Wood line is increasing. Across onto the gold now. Neither of them reacting with a tax official yet. Oh, Imperial official rather. The reason being, by the way, is you don't have a mill. You're not going to open with a mill. Despite the gathering that's going on the sheep here, you don't build mill on water hybrid maps. You just build a dock. So the opening is very different. If you watch a lot of China, what you would have noticed is quite often an Imperial official almost comes out immediately. Starts constantly overseeing production on the mill and then gives that extra 20% drop off. It's just not really an option when you're playing water maps. Instead, This is okay, though. You get the Imperial official to just tax out the lumber camp, and then you also oversee the drop-offs to support the increase of your fleet on the water, right? And I wouldn't be surprised if soon we see Almeria move a worker out to build up a second dock. But he's going to be late on the tech up. You can already see Grubby's on his way towards it. Did go for the Barbican of Sun, which is very surprising to me. I think on this map, you're less worried about rushing from your opponent because it takes so long to reach your base with a wraparound. I think you can actually go more greedy with the Imperial Academy. We'll have to see if Almeria feels like my answer is right, or if he's in the Grubby train and he's kind of worried that there's going to be early aggression. There you go. Double worker moving out. Going to actually build that second dock up. And second dock already there for Grubby. Grubby was able to stay out with it the whole time, remember. There's been no pressure on his side of the map, which is what Almeria is now going to try and fix, because he has got this trip scout. The problem is with the tech up soon to be complete, I don't think you're going to find the value you're looking for. It's like we said, one junk ship will just annihilate your scouts, so yeah, watch for that play. Barbican is there. Grubby hits it. 5 minutes 30. Almeria still delayed. Oh, has at least begun construction. Only one villager working on this, though, which is a bit surprising. The second one is coming over soon. This will protect his docks, though, which means he can potentially go more greedy and build more efficient ships as opposed to his opponent, who probably wants to get the attack ships out, right? Yeah, you can already see archer ships being built. And yeah, value for the scouts is about to kind of be lost. Maybe you could try and pressure onto a wood line, but it's just the scouts hit so pathetically bad. It's just not going to do anything. And small details like that actually ripple on, folks. The fact that you were forced to invest an extra 60 of your food in the early game slows you down, right? We've seen actually how that affected the tech timing, how much more delayed he was. And as a result, his opponent can actually eke out a bigger advantage as time goes on, right? Having teched up first, it allows him to unlock certain techs that would have been denied previously. Also allows him to get one or two attack ships, or archer ship rather, advantage. And the reason that matters is because then if you get into a fight in the early phases, you're definitely going to be outnumbered, potentially even on home field. And you can see the effect of that already. Junk ship moves across, starts the pressure on here. Just out of range of the Barbican of the Sun as well. So second dock is in range of it at least. That'll be somewhat protected. But that does mean that you also can't use the deep water fish, which is a big deal, remember. Deep water fish, you gather about, I think it's something like 0.3, 0.4 food a second quicker than the shoreline. And these jungle ships are tanky enough that they're diving in for it, right? They're just looking to snipe out a few of the fishing vessels. So 3 to the 1. Production should be constant for Almeria out of these two. He really needs to go up to 3 quickly here, though, to outmass his opponent. Grubby hasn't reacted with 3 docks himself yet. Why would he? He already done the tech up first, so he knows he's going to have the number advantage. So in his eyes, it's actually on Almeria to respond to his actions, not vice versa. Curious to see whether we're going to see any TC plays as well. I think Boulder Bay is a decent map for TC expansions. Just because you play towards these choke points, right? These natural choke points that turn into, like, you know, fortified choke points with walls. Allows you to be a lot more greedy compared to open maps like Dry Arabia and Lipany. So Almeria now up to 4, can push across. Maybe he gets a little bit of harassment out into Grubby's eco line. But he'll be playing on the home field, right? So once again, like the Teeter-Totter, Grubby will have the number advantage, already having it, and will continue to now. Trying to get the sink. Gonna force a back off here. Almeria just needs to kind of keep this check in constant check, right? He needs to keep the flow of the game, like, even. Because he understands that because he's behind, he's not going to be able to let up on the production until he's up to, like, 3 docks. One cool thing he could have been doing with his scouts, by the way, he could have been spotting out what's happening in Grubby's base. Because he's not going to get the heads up that his opponent's going trip docks. And he's going to be behind in the dock count, and he's already behind in the military ship count. And heavy on the gold. Even if you slow this down for half a minute, you're going to see a ripple effect onto the water from it. And Almeria hasn't reacted to what Grubby is doing yet. So it might just be at this rate that he ends up losing a villager, which is not a good feeling. Nice sneaking from Almeria, though. Gets one of the fishing boats. Need to find more than that, though. And you can already see that Grubby, because he now knows that he outnumbers his opponent on his own base, chases him with 7 versus the 3, soon to be 2 junks of Almeria. And it looks like he might be able to get one out of there just before it gets sunk. Yep, just out of range. Barbican Sun, pretty frustrating with 4 villages on the scout side, but overall, for the most, dragging these ships away in time. The problem is he's about to get pinched. So wrap around the back. But now Almira needs to be careful himself because he's still outnumbered here. And that's why he just keeps retreating. Remember, when you're retreating with these junks, you're not attacking back. They only fire forwards. It's one of those truly not one step back situations, right? The moment you have to retreat, you can be chased down. If the China's trying to match up, it's not too bad because, you know, they're similar speeds. Well, I say it's not too bad. It kind of is in that regard because they can keep pursuit constantly. Whereas other matchups, when it's a slower pursuit, like maybe a galley, for example, you can break away from that in the end. So scouts, definitely going to snipe one of these. Oh, he cancelled it. Grubby didn't go for it in the end. He definitely would have got that villager. So really just not forcing Almira off this. But he's looking to force Almira off the water. 9 of these junks versus 3 in combat right now. And 4 total for Almira. And this is problem time, right? We said number advantage was already there. Third dock's definitely going to solidify it. Almira might not be long for the water at this rate. And then you have to question mark what this game turns into. Because while being off the water isn't the end of the game, it's definitely a big chunk of playing Boulder Bay. Like, if you ever see a player actually ignoring water, they're going to have the most amazing reasoning behind it. And I imagine the only one I can kind of forgive, and not even from a logical standpoint, just a human standpoint, is that they they almost drowned when they were a kid in a swimming pool. And that's why they don't like going near water. Because anything else is unacceptable. So Doc gone down, now to 12. And you just can't keep up the production rates anymore. You can see he's cancelled production. He's not even building more junks. Barbican and Sun will keep you up here for a while, but ultimately you're going to be pushed off. It's just how much food you can get off the water before that happens. Grubby, oh, he already has an eco advantage. It's going to get so much bigger now. Pushes in. Not really focusing far, just kind of splitting targets right now. Could be sinking these junk ships much quicker than this, so you'll get all of them in range finally. And I love the micro, one by one. Grubby's like, okay, you know, I'm going to trade out, and I'm going to pull them away, and I'm going to heal them up. Because he knows he needs the pressure, right? Because Almira did build a second dock again. And because the Barbican Sun is here, he's going to lose a few troops. Still garrisoned by the villagers and scouts, but the big casualties really come from Almira. Almira failing to dock here because everyone was dropping off. And he has got surplus fishing boats, so they'll also be sniped out. Grubby, I think you just back off. Like, just take out the economy, back away, repair. Take out the economy, back off, repair. A nice sneak on the third dock from Almira. It's going to be scouted out now, but Grubby doesn't have the numbers just yet. He had to send the injured ships back, right? Like, you want to keep this advantage, so you don't want him to get sunk. So that's kind of the giving and taking of this water map trade, right? You're going to allow your opponent to recover again, but you know you've kept the number advantage. And when you're fully repaired, you'll push in, and in the end, Almira would have wasted more of his resource on this kind of failed expansion, right? And no expansions on land still. So Grubby did go back to the Imperial Academy, and no similar move out of Almira. Almira actually went up into Astronomical Clock Towers, which is the other reason you back off. Grubby needs to be careful now his opponent can get war junks. War junks, honestly, like, junk ships do reasonably well against them, in my opinion. They're not the worst thing in the world, like, en masse to deal with the war junks, but you still have to show a lot of respect, right? It's 120 damage, 900 health. Not to mention that range resistance of 6, so you're kind of tickling at that point. And you can see the immediate push across. 3 war junks is going to cause huge troubles for Grubby. Grubby needs to Zerg him right now. Pushes in. Needs to stay on top of them. Can't let them move out of range ever. And they can't. They're 1 tile range. They're kind of stuck here, but he can cycle them as you're seeing. And Grubby, once again, being efficient, pulling back just in time of each of these ships they get heavily injured. Failing to do so with that one, though. And still, hasn't sunk one of these yet. Grubby, is he? Yeah, he's in the midst of it. Halfway through the Astronomical Clock Tower being built. He needs to sink a few of these, get the value, so that when he techs up and he gets his own initial war junks, he'll outnumber his opponent. Back away again. Almira pushing in. About 10 seconds until the tech up's complete, and then you're looking at almost 40 seconds to the war junks. Can get a bit tight. Income situation. I mean, Grubby's still better off in a lot of regards because his fishing fleet's still working, but not for long. Tech up is going to be achieved. And immediately clicking the buttons. It's going to be explosive junks, though. Explosive junks and 1 or 2 of these attack ships. I like the mix-up. He understands his opponent's going to have a quantity advantage, right? He can't instantly match the war junk count. He knows it. He's definitely going to put a dent in these war junks. Junks continue to funnel out. One of them soon to fall. Grubby has a lot of heavily injured ships here, though. And he needs to be careful. He doesn't want his opponent reaching that critical mass where he can just sink him one by one with each salvo. But he's kind of reaching it quickly. That's why the fishing boats are even being committed to healing here. Where's the explosive? Here they come. Explosive Junks chasing in. One boom. Second one's going to make max contact here. Still not good enough, though. It was just out of range of the full impact. So War Junk's still standing. And he needs to retreat away. He needs to actually just get loads of War Junks out quickly. Just not applying enough pressure. It's up to 4 docks now. Meanwhile, Almeria still only on 3. So we might get that teeter-totter again where Grubby outnumbers his opponent the next 2-3 minutes. It all comes down to how much of Grubby's ships that are heavily injured can actually be salvaged at this stage. And just once again, full priority on this, right? Like, there's no pressure on land. I would love to see a cheeky kind of aggression, right? Just get a stable down, get a few horsemen, go in and raid his eco lines. Because if you shut down his eco, you'll definitely outscale him on the water. Because he won't be able to sustain it. Damage should get sniped. War Junk's starting to come out slowly for Grubby. It's only one so far. More boom booms. Explosive Junks are taking ages to reach though, and they're getting cycled on. Not even clipping there. Every time Grubby, he keeps jumping the gun. He needs 4, maybe 5 of these before he pushes out. And because he doesn't wait for that, he never is getting value out of the explosive Junks. And instead, his fleet is going to get sunk here. Full retreat. Grubby looking like after a dominant showing in the feudal, he might now be forced off of port courtesy of how late his castle was. This is a problem. No fleet. Not enough explosive Junks to rush his opponent. He's going to try, mind you. Just not good enough. And you can see how pitiful the value is, right? 300 damage is the max impact. You need so many to hit onto these War Junks, right? These War Junks that snipe you out quicker than Hulks probably would, due to it being 120 damage per shot. And honestly, I don't even know what Grubby's producing at this point. The only way you're going to get it out is if you do this. Yeah, I like this play. You need to actually spread your docks out so that he has to spread his forces out. Because if he keeps a cluster like this, you're always going to lose. And you're losing the docks quicker than you can build them. So Grubby, he needs to change his plan of action here. He got decent value off the water, but now he needs to accept that it's a done deal. I don't see him getting back on the water. I think that feudal to Castle Age is a recovery point, right? You can actually get back on the water there. But once your opponent hits Castle Age, there's no recovery point to get back on the water once you forfeit it. Unless, of course, you bait him in, snipe down his naval, and he didn't rebuild at any stage. But I don't see that happening. Grubby should see a switch up into military. It's going to be trip racks. I like this play. This is actually a cool one. I think that double racks. So the reason I like this play is because it's going to allow him to just spam Palace Guard. We said we need a raiding force, right? Horsemen are good, but actually Palace Guard are better. They're obviously slower than Horsemen by 0.5 pals per second. But the difference is that they're armored, so they can actually dive under the TC. So expect to see that production out. I think it's a mistake if he doesn't go for it. Like raiding force of 10, 15 of them, just sneak them by. You should be able to do so without being spotted. Especially with this opening here, right? Like, you don't have to run near the coast, so you won't be sniped out by Almeria's fleet. And Almeria already reading that has to be coming. Nice play. It makes sense, right? Like, what else can you do at this stage if you're Grubby? You're locked onto land, so you actually have to push in and try and hit his eco that's on the village account, right? Because there's no way to snipe out his fishing economy anymore. But I just love the way that Almeria understands this, immediately moves out, looks to palisade up. And this means that these racks, they're not going to get value. And weird play all the same, by the way. Building into the Spearman as opposed to Palace Guard is very surprising to me. The only reason I can think there is behind this is because, one, he's going for the tech up and getting the Imperial Palace, right? And two, he doesn't actually have like the food surplus to support the extra 40 cost. Interesting to see him going for the Imperial Palace in the situation, by the way. This will allow him to see where the villages are, so he'll get a read of what the economy is. But you should know your opponent's quite clustered anyway. The other reason you're going for this, of course, is to probably get into the Fire Lancers. It is a raiding force that we talked about. I think it's going to struggle to dive, though. What it will not struggle with, however, is getting through those palisade walls. Remember, they actually burn up buildings much quicker than other units. And things have calmed on the sea. Interesting that Almeria has moved out to fish on his opponent's side. I'm not sure what that is about. I don't think he spotted these ones, yeah. If we look at Almeria's vision, yeah, I don't think he spotted these other deep waters. This is where he's probably feeling a little bit outraged, right? When he scouts how many of these deep water fish are on Grubby's side of the map. He's like, yeah, damn right, this is my naval area now. You had this opening? How dare you? How dare the game? So Springel's coming out, Spiven as well, just trying that cheap unit. And this should just be the Fire Lance spam we were talking about. 5 stables, definitely will get him to a quantifiable mass in the next 2 minutes. And then he's looking to raid in. Scout has got eyeballs on the wall, but as we said, the Fire Lance has breached that very quickly. And I don't think there's military presence on land still from Armeria. Yeah, he's playing a very greedy game right now. He's kind of vibing. He's like, things are good in the Chinese Empire. Nobody comes around these parts. There's never aggression. There's never war. There will be soon, my friend. Very soon. So Spril, try to frustrate the War Junks. Kind of unfortunate to have your Spril revealed there, because now Armeria should get confirmation of what he's suspecting, which is his opponent is going to push on the land front very soon. Because you have to have some units out, right? There's no way you put a Spril this far forward alone. And of course, Spril's great solution against naval. That's why I like Boulder Bay as a balance point as well, like Spril's at the moment. That might be like a point that needs to be adjusted, because obviously Sprils are about to get nerfed. I do feel like Spril should get bonus damage against ships. I'm probably going to get ripped into in the comments for that, but honestly, if you get locked out of water, how else do you get back underwater? Bombards? That's it. So you're saying if I want to get back underwater, I can't try and do it on the Castle Age, I have to wait until the Imperial Age. That seems kind of silly to me. And it's just the fact that, like, you need to, in this situation, you need an answer to push your opponent at least away from the coast so you can actually be present on land. I don't like the way that, like, in a lot of these type of matchups, losing out on the water basically loses you the game, right? So I definitely think that's something that they'll have to change after the upcoming Spril patch, which is when the Sprils get nerfed on this front. I'm pretty sure they don't get the bonus damage against Siege. I hope I'm wrong. I'd love to be wrong in this situation. But you can see, like, they're not categorized as Siege here, right? They're categorized as an attack ship or, you know, an arrow ship or whatever. So yeah, definitely a bit of a wonky thing that's coming our way in the next week. Fire Lancer production churning out. Priests moving out. So this is one of the cool things. Because Armeria isn't present on land still, and he's boxed himself in the way he has, he's not able to actually grab these relics easily, right? It's something that his opponent is exploiting because he knows about this wall. So he knows his opponent is playing very turtly. But not for long. Look at this, right? He knows Armeria went up the imp page. What he doesn't know is he's also going immediately back to the Spirit Way around the same time. Once again, folks, the power of the fishing economy allowing for this. And this does mean that with the Spirit Way there, look how cheap the Fire Lancers are. 56 food, 14 wood, and gold. Compare that to the normie price of 80 food, 20 wood, and 20 gold. Now, fishing economy aside, which already puts Armeria ahead, this means he's easily going to be able to field more than his opponent, courtesy of that Spirit Way making all the Dynasty units cheaper. Now we'll see Grubby finally going for his tech up. Gonna be vulnerable, though. Where is he doing it? We spent the resources. There it is. Yeah, his Spirit Way placement, just trying to do the same thing. But like we said, he's already behind, right? Noticeably so. It's also going to be the tech up factors. You can already see it's starting to be researched. So Grubby, if a fight happens very quickly, is not going to have all the appropriate techs in place. Armeria can, because he's already sitting in the imp page. You can see the university's already been dropped as well. Yeah, this is a little bit concerning. Could easily go for the biology if he wants, but he's prioritizing the pyrotechnics. Interesting choice. If someone knows, like, I don't think that, like, because Fire Lance is in a way a gunpowder with the initial shot, right? It's explosive tips. But I don't think, I'm pretty sure pyrotechnics does not affect the range of the AoE on Fire Lancers. I could be wrong though, so if someone knows that, drop it in the comments. It's definitely someone to potentially test. Would be very difficult to test, actually. You have to line up the units perfectly. So yeah, Grubby just keeping himself busy as he makes an entrance. We'll spot out the Fire Lancers now. Now remember, these are elite Fire Lancers. He has not upgraded his yet. He only just completed the Spirit Way. And how is that coming along? Halfway complete. If he gets engaged now, it's going to be catastrophic, and we can see it is. Charge in is good for Armeria. Superior health, superior damage, and Grubby's going to lose the Fort Force. has got a second combat group moving in. It's wonky for him, you can see as well, right? He has to wrap around the sacred site every time. In fact, he might be able to still sneak a cap here. And there you go, gets the upgrade just in time to be slammed in the face. Oh, that was filthy. Honest to God, guys, like, unarmored units, watching them fight up against elite fire lancers, it just looks so painful. That initial hit at 25 with Splash, good lord. That's how powerful it can be. But meanwhile, Grubby's base finally is dropping the university. Will he be going pyrotechnics as well? Fighting in the meantime. Grubby's still just trickling in, right? He's still playing catch-up to Armiria at this stage. The only thing that's working out for him is the fact Armiria is still in his base, but I don't think that's going to hold for long. You can see the bombards have been built, and this is what it was all about for the pyrotechnics. And is going for the ancient techniques, which is pretty cool, right? Like, an extra 20% gather rate, well, 15% at this stage, if he gets the 4th Dynasty, which unlocks Grenadiers as well. I don't expect to see Ming Dynasty, by the way. I feel like I rarely ever see people go Ming Dynasty. It's just too expensive, right? It's another Imperial Age cost, so it's 1,200 gold and 2,400 food. That's a huge chunk of your economy that you could be using aggressively instead, right? Keeps being dropped in the meantime by Grubby. Grubby walling himself in now. Understands the state of the game, has totally gone against him now. Now Miria pushing in with bombards, with this trickling constantly of these fire lancers. I wouldn't even be surprised if he drops a Forward Siege Workshop, just in case he loses the bombards, but I don't think he necessarily needs it. It's just about keeping fire lancer production up. And with the Baochuan, I think it's Baochuan you say it, or as we usually know it, the Carrack, the keeps are not going to last long. And with the bombards joining in, one more strike should take down the keep. Repairs are not quick enough. And this gets scary. Grubby has to play a very retracted battle now towards the inner like places of his base, right? He can't be anywhere near the water, and that means it's going to be hard to move out even if you take a win now. Now Miria has the numbers, has the range. Grubby has nothing to compete with at range, and you're seeing him suffer now. And this just might be the difference. I think this is looking fairly done. I don't see how Grubby competes with this. The keep is not going to be a successful build. Even if it was, you delay him by maybe another 30 seconds, and you haven't started to counter. You haven't started to build your siege weapons, right? Like, where are the Sprions? They don't exist. And a few of these sunk. Was that a boom ship? I don't think that was a boom ship. I think he just deleted them on purpose. Once more pop cap, right? Like, yeah, he just deleted them. Because Almera goes, okay, I need more troops. And in fairness, these ships do use up quite a lot of it, right? Why would you keep the crappy old war junks when all you need is the big fat Baochuans now? And also capturing the sacred sites. Yeah, I think Grubby's done with this game at this stage. I mean, your opponent is stripping the map of resources in the center. He has both the sacred sites. You'll never be able to decap the northern one because there's no way you're getting back in water. And now you're held in these choke points where if you push out, you'll be sniped out by the warships, right? And you can see the raid party goes in. So Almeria, not happy with just demoralizing his opponent. He looks to just stake him in the heart. And he'll stake him straight in deep into the economy. And Grubby, seems like this game is done. Almeria, really well played to come back from almost being pushed off the water, repels his opponent, takes control on the naval front, and then takes control of the game fully when Grubby has nowhere left to run and hide. GG, well played. Almeria, love to see it.